A pleasant good morning, everyone. We are the group 7 from BTLED 2G1. And the first reporter of this group is Ramirez Janet. Yes, that's me. The second reporter is Silvano Gretchen. The third reporter is Reveche Christian Jasper. So next slide is, for this morning, we tackled all about the animal production management practices in poultry raising. But for this morning, we only focusing the chicken raising, and we all know that there's a lot of poultry raising, just like for example, mga ducks, pigments, ostrich, and more. So daghan kayo no sa mga klase-klaseng poultry raisings. So let's move. So before I'm start my topic, before we start discussion, my topic is let's read first our objectives. So our objectives is define poultry terms, differentiate between a productive hen and non-laying hen, identify parts of a chicken, evaluate eggs. Next is how to manage housing and equipment in poultry raising, and lastly is sanitation. So now let's start my topic. So next slide is what is poultry? What is poultry? So poultry is the group name for all domesticated birds used for, of course, meat, eggs, and feeders. Next defined is poultry are referred to as a birds and fowl. These birds have wings, of course, no? So there's also backbones and feeders, and some can even swim. Just for example, ducks. So ang mga ducks, pwede na silang manglangoy. And pigments also. So next is the term poultry covers a wide range of birds, from indigenous and commercial breeds of chickens to Muscovy ducks. So as I have said earlier, there's a lot of poultry raising. Mao na siyang mga example: Muscovy ducks, mallard ducks, turkeys, guinea fowl, geese, quail, pigeons, ostrich, and pheasants. So daghan kayo no mga different kinds of poultry, like poultry raising, something like that. So next, let's move on. So poultry production is an old industry in the country. So sa unang panahon, nanani ang poultry sa pagpuhi sa mga chicken, no? So many Filipino farmers or businessmen depend upon this industry as a major source of income. So that's fact. So no, even sa balay pwede kita mo mag-start of business in a small backyard. So pwede ta mabuhay og mga manok no sa ginagmay lang. So pwede na ta makakuha og income. So no. So anyway, let's move on. So next slide is general information of a chicken. No, poultry. Sorry. So poultry popular for holidays. Yes, that's fact, no? Mga siya. Di dyan siya mawala ang chicken sa lamisa, sa mga, especially sa mga occasion like birthdays, mga especially in kanang sa mga holidays, no? Or mga sa kasal, sa mga Christmas party, like New Year, something like that. So chicken must popular. So ilado, like if we say popular kanang ilado na siya sa tanan, murag ka ilado ng mga tao. So but some people kanang di sila mukaw ng chicken kay tungod allergic na may tingan nga tao. So next is Average American eats 75 pounds of poultry per year. So, no, 75 pounds per year sa America. So, products of poultry, ang pwede makuha sa poultry. So, just like eggs, meat, medicine and vaccines, feeders for clothes, pillows, and fish lures. So, feeders pwede siya mahimo sa clothes, mga pillows, or fish lures. Kaning sa mamasol galitan, no? So, pwede na siya magamit. So, ornamental uses, hobbies. So, next slide is basic term. So, first is scientific name of chicken, which is Agallus domesticus. So, muna siya ang scientific name of a chicken. So, broiler, it is a young chicken, 6 to 7 weeks with about 4 pounds, either 6 to 7 billions are raised each year in the US. So, this is the example. We have a picture here. So, muna siya example sa broiler. Or siya bantries. So, next is rooster. So, it is a young chicken, older and slightly larger than the broiler. So, the example ay naman siya ang rooster. So, kasagaran kita na kainin. Next is kapun. Male chicken that has been neutered or gastrate 5 to 7 months old with 16 pounds. This is the example of kapun. Next is spen hen that no longer lay eggs used in soaps or processed foods. So, this is the example of spen hen. Kaning wala na siya, mga balhibo, and this is used for processed foods. Na siya. Next is layer. It is a mature female, can produce around 300 eggs per year. So, and per year, maproduce sila og 300 eggs. Kaning mga layer. Mature female. This is the picture, the example. Next is hen. It is a mature female or laying. Next is polly. Young female not yet laying eggs. Kanang mga, this is for example. So, first, let's read first what is pollet. A pollet is a young hen that is under 1 year of age and has not started laying eggs yet. So, as we can see the picture, so there's a baby chicks approx 1 to 12 weeks. Pollets approx 15 to 22 weeks. Pole hens approx 22 weeks, and laying hen is a laying for 1 year or more plus. So, muna siya. Next slide is more terms. Egg, it is a hard-shelled reproductive body produced by a bird. So, gikan sila sa chicken. Next, muna siya. Axial feeder. Short-winged feeder that separates primaries from secondaries. So, this is for the example. Meron siya, as we can see the picture, meron siya ang primaries first to drop, and secondaries second to drop. So, axial feeder, the center of primaries and secondaries. Candling. Examining a shell eggs contained by holding it between one's eye and a light source. So, cuddling is a process nga mo-taste sa egg if it's fresh or kanang okay ba ni siya nga egg. Next is oviposition, lying open egg by a bird. Next is green, description of chicks that have recently hatched. Plumage, feathers of a bird. Next is cock, mature male, can be called a rooster. Cockerel, young male that is less than 1 year old. So less than 1 year old. That what we call cockerel. So common breeds. Next slide is common breeds. First is white leghorn. This is the example. This is the pictures. Ano siyang white leghorn. It is used in egg production smallest. And second is barred Plymouth Rock. This is the example. It is used for meat and eggs. New Hampshire. There's the meat and eggs also. White Rock. It is used for meat and eggs largest. So next slide is poultry production system. There are 4 areas. The first one is broiler production. It is 6 weeks to raise. So mga 6 weeks to sila mo i-raise sila ang mga broiler production. The second is egg production, 25 weeks to raise. Mga 25 weeks. Egg quality, 90% market, 8 white. So parts, shell, albumin, yolk, membrane. Judging eggs is cuddling. So as I have said earlier, cuddling is a process of motosia it's okay na fresh bang eggs sa chicken. So cuddling, judging eggs. So molting is a process of shedding or renewing feathers. Laying eggs stop during molting. Takes about 2 months to have a bird completely out. Pag molting is pag-renew, like pagbalik sa iyang bagong feeders, pag shading, mga tagak man na, so mo renew na po siya lain nga feeders, something like that. In 2 months to have a bird completely out. The third area is pullet for eggs production. It is pullets begin to lay eggs at 24 weeks. The fourth is pullet and cockerel for broiler egg production. 1 cockerel per 8 to 10 pullets. Next slide is differentiate between productive hen and non-laying hen. So first is egg type hens. Characteristic to look for when examining hens. Bleaching of yellow pigment in the shanks, feet, and beak. Condition and capacity of the abdomen. Condition of plumage and rate of molt of the wing primaries. Vigor and vitality. Head characteristics. Next slide is bleaching of body pigments again. Order that the body pigment spreads. There are body pigment spreads. When eye-ring, ear-lobe, base of beak, tape of beak, button of foot, chunk, hack, and tape of toe. So siya, parts of the chicken. As we can see, I have here a example picture. So, sa kay 1 week, eye-ring is 7 to 10 days. Earlobe, 7 to 10 days. Kanang dapat sa inuwanggan. Beak, 4 to 6 weeks base to tip. Yang simud. And 5 is chunks, 4 to 6 months gradual feeding all over but completed in the following order. Front and sides of chunks, rear of chunks, tops of toes and hops. Mga 4 to 6 months mo feed siya. So next slide is photograph showing the loss of pigment from the front of the chunk and tops of toes. So kani siya, hen has laid few eggs. In the left side in the picture, Malaysia, and the last is hen has laid many eggs. Kani siya puti. So, as we can see, makita na to ang differentiate, no? So, kung asa ang fresh or kung okay ang manok. So, siya. Comparison of the yellow color in the eye ring
earlobe and beak of a 4-layer photo in the lip, and in the photo in the lip there are 4 layer and a good layer photo on the right. Muna siya. Sa right, muna siya ang okay. Next is comparison in the color of the skin around the vein on 4 layer. Photo on the lip, muna siya yellow. Na siya ang 4. And a good layer photo in the right, muna siya. Next slide.
Hi, my name is Gretchen Silvano, and now I'm going to talk about bleaching of body pigments. Hence, that show signs of returning pigment or decreasing in egg production. So, a body's hen is there as a yellow pigments nga. If mangitlog sila is magkahinay og wala tong yellow pigments, it says nga mo-transfer siya sa egg. But, if sa iyang pagpangitlog nito, makita tanga ni transfer na ang yellow pigment, it means nga na ni-decrease ang egg production. Pigment returns to the body parts in the same order it faded. So kung giun sa to pag-fade ang body pigment, so mo sa to in egg returns. So returns 3 times quicker, so there are 4 factors: amount of pigment and fed. So it affect also kung unsa ang gidaghanon ang pigment sa food. Sa food nga gipakaon sa hen, and then health and vitality of hen, whether the hen is confined or not. Size and coarseness of the hen. And now let's move on to the condition capacity of abdomen. Good indicator of egg production. So abdomen is oval layer is wide. So katong mutlog yun siya is the abdomen is wide, soft, lacks fat, and expanded. So ang pelvic bones are thin and flexible. Kanang dapat niya sa buko-buko gani nga kuan. So thin siya and flexible. Then vent is moist. Kanang lubot gi siya sa manok is makwanta moist nga dako siya and oblong in shape. So now the non-layer, so narrow, hard, fatty, and contracted. And then sa pelvic bones kay baga siya and not flexible. Vent has some moistness, but so it's same nga na moist silang duha, but sa non-layer kay gamay siya and round in shape. And now abdominal capacity. Abdominal capacity of hen is measured and expressed by one's fingers width. So, ma-measure siya sa fingers nato kung siya. Ang normal kay 3 fingers width by 4 fingers width. So, as you can see in the picture below, so, na-measure niya through fingers. And now, plumage and rate of molt. So, the feathers of a hen. And two factors considered appraising the plumage of hens include condition, feather appearance, and molting rate. So, ang speed of shedding feathers. So, mangili siya og balhibo. And then, so, per meron niyang makuan, as you can see in the picture, so, katong dagko siya nga lang sa tumoy gani sa ikog is mo to mo first 2 drop, and second 2 katong mga mo follow sa gidagkon to sa primaries, and then followed by those mo na mangilis. And then, vigor and vitality. A high-producing hen appears vigorous, alert, and quick in movements. So, katong kusog siya nga mo-produce nga hen is, kung siya, vigor, healthy, and alert, and quick in movements. So, paspas mo liho ka. So, healthy, kaya siya. And then, non-producing hen is sluggish, magluya, karang hinay kay mo kaon, And then next is head and head parts. So, if not trimmed, a productive hen's beak is short. So, katong mo produce na hen is kuan jud ilang beak is short. The hen's eyes are bright. So, din okay ilang mata, and then they are paspas manglihok and then round. And her skull is flat from side to side. So, ilahang ulo dapat is kanang flat siya. And then her comb, ang tapay, and the wattles are large, bright red, and glossy. So, dako siya na red in color. They feel velvety, soft, warm when touched. So, init hikapon. So, Now, the non-producing hen's beak is long. So, katong di kay siya mo produce is long siya og beak, and then mura ka siya kuan og luya og mata, and then oblong siya shape. Her skull is rounded from side to side, so lingin ra siya. Unlike sa productive nga flat. Her common waters are shankin and dull, so di kay siya mura siya og kanang di kay red. They feel rough and cool when touched, so bugnaw. So there's differences between the two. So now the parts, you can see in the pictures, so wings, comb and wattles. So comb, as you can see, and kanang tapay niya is comb, wattles kanang pamitay niya below the beak, and then hang, shank, and feet. So, vent is kanang luwot sa manok, and then crop kanang palabutak in Bisaya, palabutak sa manok nga where kanang naadiha ang mga ilang ipang kaon. And now, as you can see in the picture, so there are the body parts of chicken. So the comb, as I said earlier, kato siyang tapay. So no-stir ka ng gamay nga pangagana sa ilang kuan sa beak nila, and then beak, wattle ka ng pamitay nila sa ilawom, then front neck, kanang mura siya sa kanang nila nga kuan below sa wattle nga mura siya nasa liig dapitan, and then cape kanang mura sa palabutak nila dapit na wing front kanang atubangan siya sa pako, and then breeze kanang dughan nila, and then wing bow kanang along with the wing front, and then so on the toenail, the foot, the spar, leg scales kanang murag imbis nila nga batiis, thigh pa na fluff kanang murag ubusad niya sa vent na, and then the tail feathers kanang kuan sa yang kuan, and then the back, neck, and earlobe, dalunggan nila kanang ubos sa dunggan nila nga na ay kuan murag circle, then kan, and that would be all, and thank you.
Hi, my name is Jasper Reveche, and today I will be talking about poultry eggs. So we all have seen an egg, right? In which sometimes it is the easiest food to cook for a meal, especially when we are in a rush to something. Like kaning kuan magluto tag piniritong itlog or sunny side up, in which mao jud ni siya pinakadali na to nga maluto nga pagkaon nga sudan para kuan kung natigi dali nga tuan sa lugar or Mulakaw Bataron natigi apas nga oras. But first, let us define what is an egg. The chicken egg is made up of approximately 2/3 white and 1/3 yolk. The yolk contains lipids, vitamins, minerals, and carotenoid pigments. It is considered a rich source of bioavailable lutein and zeaxanthin carotenoids, which are present only in the egg yolk. So ang kaning chicken egg guys kay made up ni siya og 2/3 white sa itlog and 1/3 yolk, which is katong yellow. Ang kaning yolk niya kay nag-contain ni siya a lot of nutrients such as lipids, vitamins, minerals, and carotenoid pigments. And it is also considered nga rich source siya sa bioavailable lutein and zeaxanthin carotenoids nga makita ra ni nato siya sa egg yolk. So let's move on to the eggs and its parts. So as we can see in the illustration, kita na to ang egg, gilibilan siya into a lot of terms. So first, let's talk a lot about what is a shell. So a shell. An eggshell is the outer covering of a hard-shelled egg and of some forms of eggs with soft outer coats. So kaning kanya guys, shell, ato ni gitawag siya sa Bisaya pa nga bayanan. Like sulan siya sa katong egg. So kaning siya katuning or gahi in the outer part nga nag-cover sa egg yolk and the other components, parts nga nasa egg. And next is we have the thin albumin. The albumin provides the liquid medium in which the embryo develops, and it also contains a large amount of the protein necessary for proper development. So ang kaning thin albumin guys is nag-provide ni siya og liquid medium nga kuan kung asa nag-develop ang embryo, and it also contains a large amount of protein nga gikinahanglan sa develop properly sa usa ka embryo. So next is we have the chalaza. It's a structure inside bird eggs and plant ovules. So kaning chalaza guys is makita nato siya nga sa nga structure gani sa bird eggs like such as chicken or sa mga plant ovules. So makita rin siya guys sa sa microscope when it comes to plant ovules or manana. And it attaches or suspends the yolk or nucellus with the larger structure. So ang kanin siya kay naka-attach niya sa from bottom to top nga murag siya bitay gahang sa yolk mo ana siya murag siya nagkupot like such as like mo siya string ana, as we can see at the illustration. So next is we have the thick albumin. The inner thick white or chalaziferous layer is a dense, matted fibrous capsule of albumin around the vitelline membrane of the yolk. So as we can see in the illustration guys, is mo ni siya ang murag biggest part nga white sa egg, and is a capsule of albumin around the vitelline membrane of the yolk. Mo ni siya ang circulate sa vitelline membrane. So next is we have the germinal disc or blastodisc, a small circular white spot from 2 to 3 mm across on the surface of the yolk. It is where the sperm enters the egg. So ang kaning sperm sa chicken kay diri ni siya musud sa germinal disc or blastodisc nga where nga ma-meet niya ang egg. So the nucleus of the egg is in the blastodisc. Na ang nucleus sa egg dito sa blastodisc, dito siya present. And the embryo develops from this disc and gradually sends blood vessels into the yolk to use it for nutrition as the embryo develops. So ang embryo kay develop siya sa disc. Once siya ang nag-send og blood vessels into the yolk, kung mao siya more passage sa mga nutrients nga gikinahanglan sa embryo sa pag-develop. Next is we have the vitelline or yolk membrane. The clear casing that encloses the egg yolk when an egg is said to be mottled. So what do we mean by mottled guys is kana siya more bitag pasa-pasa sa makita to sa yolk, like kanang sometimes murag naka-meet na mo garamani nga kanang while gaabli mo sa itlog is more siya something reddish or something inana nga more siya bunog sa egg. So the yolk surface is covered with many pale spots or blotches. So mo lang pa gingon nga more pale spots nga more siya basta more siya something reddish ni siyang color or dark red something inana nga wag ni gid siya lahi og color sa kanang normal nga egg yolk. The strength and integrity of the vitelline membrane are very important in preventing egg yolk mottling. Like, very important dyan ang vitelline membrane na iyang gikusgon nga kaning work mo hold sa yolk nga para mo prevent siya sa mga mottled or sa mga pale spots or blotches. Next is we have the yolk, a major source of vitamins, minerals, almost half of the protein and all of the fat and cholesterol. Like mo siya major source sa guys sa nutrients nga kinahanglan as the embryo develops. The yolk contains less water and more protein than the white. Like ang kaning yolk guys contain siya less jud kay nga water while daghang rich in protein jud siya sa kisa katong white, some fat and most of the vitamins and minerals of the egg. Next is we have the inner and outer shell membrane. So as we can see in the illustration, like tapad rin silang duha. So these two membranes, outer and inner, are just inside the shell surrounding the albumin, which is the white. So kaning duha guys is nag-surround ni siya sa albumin, the outer and the inner. The two membranes provide an efficient defense against bacterial invasion and are made partly of keratin. So kaning duha ka membrane guys is mo na siya ang silbing nagdepensa against the bacterial invasion sa egg, which are made partly of keratin. The outer membrane sticks to the egg shell while the inner membrane sticks to the albumin. So ang outer membrane guys is nakita na to nga nag-stick gid siya sa shell while ang inner membrane is nag-stick siya sa kaning albumin. When an egg is first laid, it is warm. As it cools, the content contracts and the inner shell membrane separates from the outer shell membrane to form the air cell. So, pangitlog guys, ang kaning itlog is warm pa ni siya niya. Samtang nagkabugnaw ni siya kay sa paggawas na siya sa sa chicken hen, sa hen. Bugnaw siya ang mga niya content kanitanan nga nasa illustration kay mo contract na siya hugot and the inner shell membrane separates, so mo separate na shell ang inner shell membrane from the outer shell nga para maka-form siya og air cell. So let us know what is an air cell. An air cell forms when the contents of the cool and contract after the egg is laid. So kaning guys, ang air cell kay mo siya silbing airspace nga makita bitaw nato sa kanang, for example like magbuak ko tarog itlog na magluto ta, di ba makita ta sa may lubutan nga side nga magkabantay ta mo siya na ni bloat nga mo siya nipis yan nga like sa lubutan na pit kay mo ni siya ang gitawag na tog air cell. So the air cell usually rest between the outer and inner membrane. So makita natin siya guys in between sa inner and outer membrane. At the egg's layer end. And as the egg ages, moisture and carbon dioxide leave through the pores of the shell. So samtang mature ang egg or dugay for how many days, ang moisture and carbon dioxide nga na present sa sud kay mugawas siya sa pores sa shell and air enters to replace them and the air cell becomes larger. So as samtang nanggawas to ang moisture o carbon dioxide, ang air kay mosulod sad samtang nag-replace sila sa katong mga carbon dioxide and the air cell becomes larger. So that's all for the eggs and its parts. Let's move on to the candling of eggs. So what is an egg candling? Candling detects bloody white blood spots or meat spots and enables observation of germ development. So kaning guys, ang candling eggs, importante kini siya especially kanang nagnegosyo kag mga poultry eggs. Kay basi niya kay natay gitawag og kani mga reject nga egg bitaw, like mo siya daot na inana, like mo siya one important process as you hold poultry egg farm na sa chicken na. So candling detects mga bloody whites, blood spots or meat spots and enables nga maka-observe ta sa mga germ development kung naa if possible. So candling is done in a darkened room with the egg held before a light. The light penetrates the egg and makes it possible to observe the inside of the egg. So kani siya ang process guys, should be done in a dark room and naa kay silbing nga light para ma-observe nimo ang kaning egg. So the light penetrates the egg and makes it possible to observe the inside of the egg. So kung nana sa dark nga room, yan na ito yung light. So ang kaning light is mo penetrate ni siya deep inside sa egg. Makita dyan mo siya sa hole. Kung siya na so like ma-observe dyan mo siya kung nabay defect or what. So during a candling demo, what do we look for when we candle eggs? So one of the mentioned yung mga butang mga is kaning air cell, yolk, cracks in shell, blood spots, and other foreign matters. So next is before we candle eggs is you need to know the air shell like its temperature is 105 degrees is normally at the large end of the egg nato siya makita. So man siya mga quality na yung pangkita like quality grades A up to 1/8 inch. A is 1/8 inches to 3/16 inches. B is 3 to 16 inches. Also the yolk matters like yolk size and shape, distinctness of yolk, shadow outline, yung mga yolk defects and germ development. So nakita to sa illustration guys like mo siya process sa candling of eggs like tan-aw nimo such as kaning nasa illustration nga kung sa mga defect sa egg kay matawag yun siya reject if dili siya normal lang yan sa salad. Next is what does your egg look like? So as we can see in the first illustration, it's been labeled as good egg. So one siya first illustration guys. The like kaning nasa top and the bottom one. So the bad eggs such as the no embryo and dead embryo and the crack or broken shell. So nakita jud guys no like sa egg candling kay na jud siya ang katong mga makita mga defects or either normal siya or dili. Next is housing and equipments. So kani guys manit siya mga kinahanglan nun especially sa kaning mga mag poultry raising ta. So housing control environments is as litter or wood shavings or lighting controlled laying cycle like 14 to 16 hours and especially on temperature 85 to 95 degrees Fahrenheit for babies and 70 for 6 weeks birds. And also excuse me, its humidity from 50 to 75% in broiler house. Mist system are used. Ventilation using large fans help prevent cannibalism. So kaning guys, large fans sa ventilation is nagtabang sa niya sa pag cool down sa sud sa poultry farm. Like ipagawas po niya ang kaning mga mga baho nga there's a possible nga makasuffocate sa mga manok sa sulod. Kay baho jud ba niya mga 80 like after mga how many months pag sila ma-harvest and automated equipment is used. Next is sanitation. It is a poultry rearing hygiene. The production of healthy poultry depends on the maintenance of health and hygiene throughout the entire production system. This includes the maintenance of health of the point of production of the birds such as chickens. So if gusto jud ka guys nga murag dako jud kag income sa imong gibuhat nga negosyo such as poultry farms sa mga chicken, dapat maintain jud mo ang cleanliness sa imong poultry like para iwas sa magkasakit mo mga ipang raise nga mga chicken ug di sa malugi sa imong gibuhat. So first is you need to use disinfectants like kaning dili lang kay siya murag harmful towards the chicken like sakto lang dili sila madaot as you use some disinfectants or vaccinate pa kunahan ng mga manok para murag maka-prevent siya sa mga uban nga possible nga sakit or dispose of dead birds is all incineration. Like dispose dito dapat ang atong mga makita to nga nangamatay nga manok sa sulod kay if makaon mo gud siya sa uban either nga makatakod ni siya sa uban like sa mga sakit such as kaning mga Marek's disease or virus paralysis of legs and wings like ma-paralyze ang sa manok yang mga pakaw og tiil. Next is Newcastle virus or soft eggs affects birds gas twist neck around like maraming siya magkon siyang liyo guys like di siya normal like maraming siya mag twist na siya kung naman siya ng Newcastle virus. So next is infectious bronchitis virus which is a nasal discharge kining sige ni siya sipon like magsig dahili ang sipon sa manok inana or the laying stops anay possible nga munog pangitlog, foul cholera bacteria, or fever colored head death. Kaning kani siya guys, mo siya kanang nakabantay ko ani sa nasa napamidanghang manok is kaya mo siya mo violet lang ang ulo sa manok, mamatay ra siya inana like mo siya hilanat and then matay. Next is parasite. Coccidiosis parasite. Droppings get into food or water ni mga iti siguro. Mga iti niya hinana masagol siya sa tubig. The birds are sleepy, pale, and listless. Like, was she enthusiasm or energy nga mo barog or nana or permi siya murag gadoka ang manok like murag lain na kayo sa ilang pamati guro nana. Next is large roundworms. Worms pick up in a soil. And mites, pest that sucks blood, use insecticides to rid. So kanina na yung mga kuan guys, mga pest nga mo sip silang dugo mo sa ni ang makapaluya sa ilaha. And yeah, at the same time, ug wala sila energy sa kan ilang lahas sinana. Next is tapeworm or bird becomes pale or lose weight founding soil like makadaot po ni siya sa kuan guys. Kini mga bitok nga percent sa mga manok dapat ato ni silang murag purgahon ni nana. Okay, kung udaot na yung manok like murag lugi juga sa tinibangay nana. That's all for my report.
Thank you for listening, guys.